Good morning, my fellow reptiles, and welcome to this new segment that I don't know what I want to call it, so I need your help to give me a good name. Should I call this Gaming News? Should I call this Geek News? I need a name to start titling this series in the title, so you guys will know what type of video this is going to be. This is a new segment on my channel where I'm going to be talking about gaming news and things that I find interesting that have been newly announced in the gaming world, movie world, comic world, and TV world. And right now I have about 5 small little announcements in which we're going to be taking a look at and going over. So how many of you people have pre-ordered a Wii U? I know I have, and I cannot wait for when it comes out next week. I'm going to be spending so much time, and I'm going to be neglecting my college homework simply because all of the new Wii U's coming out with all of these amazing games, especially Zombie U. But on this topic, the problem with the Wii U right now is that people who already have the Wii U have been reporting a very, very scary auto shutoff feature. And this is a terrible, bad hardware design on Nintendo's part, because usually when you're playing a console game, you will pause a game, and if you're anything like me, I usually leave the console on for relatively a long time if I have to go do something really quick, and sometimes that ends up being like an hour in length, where then I come back and, unpause the game and continue right where I left off, instead of turning off the console, saving it. However, the Wii U supposedly has this terrible auto shutoff feature that when you leave it idle for more than, I think it was like 45 minutes or so, the console automatically turns off. And normally, that would be a good thing. Like my computer does that. My desktop computer turns off after 45 minutes. But the problem with the Wii U is that when it turns itself off, you lose all your data. So even if you have your game saved and you say your last mission to your level, you have the game saved, you pause it, you go to make yourself a sandwich or something, and it happens to be an hour and a half because your dog eats all your food and you have to run to the store. Instead you buy a pizza or something, and that turns out to be an hour and a half in length. You come home to find that your console's turned off, you turn your console back on, and you realize that even though your game was saved, the Nintendo Wii has the auto shutoff feature, which made you delete everything. So you lost all of that. And if there's one thing in the gaming world which really pisses me off, and I'm sure it pisses off a lot of other people, is when you have a saved game and you accidentally overwrite the saved game, you accidentally delete the saved game, or you do something to where you lose all of your saved information. Terrible feeling of investing so much time into something only to lose it all. Hate that. But if you're anything like me and you never ever go in the console options to see what things you can have, you can turn off this auto turn-off feature. So you can turn it off completely so it will never happen. But I know a lot of people when they first get their console, I never go through the options of the console. I just put it in and start playing. And the first thing you want to do is you're going to want to turn this off because it can permanently affect all of your gaming content for the near future. This is by far my most favorite piece of news. Valve announced their next-gen game engine. It is about time. The Half-Life 2, Left 4 Dead 2, all of these games made by Valve have been on the Source engine. This is a engine, I can't remember the year, I believe it was, I'm not going to even say the year. It was in early 2000 when the game engine was announced with Half-Life 2, and from that a lot of games have been using the Source engine. And not to say, the Source engine is a beautiful game engine, but it's very, very outdated. It's I think over almost 10 years. Almost 10 years in how old it is, and it still looks beautiful, but it's severely outdated. I mean, even the Call of Duty games have a more updated, current, and better-looking game engine than Source. But nonetheless, Valve finally announced Source engine. Well, it's not called that yet, but that's what it's going to be called, I guarantee you. Source 2, which is going to be the new games that Valve makes, is going to be on this engine. So my guess, no, not my guess, I'm positive when they get around to making Half-Life 3, it's going to be on their new game engine. And I cannot wait for that, because for those of you who don't know, Half-Life 3 to me is my all-time favorite game of Half-Life 2, excuse me. Half-Life 2 is the biggest, best game, in my opinion, ever. Period. I grew up playing Half-Life back in the early 90s, and when Half-Life 2 came out, it just blew my mind away. Soundtrack, story, the action, the adventure. It's one of these games that and puzzles. Half-Life 2 is one of the games that has the best of everything. And it's not often I can say that about a video game, but that's just my opinion. I'm a huge Half-Life 2 fan. I got way too much Half-Life gear in my closet, but I'm excited for the Source engine too, because I can't even imagine how beautiful it's going to look. Because when the Source Engine came out back in early 2000, it was gorgeous. Gorgeous. I mean, people were like amazed at how gorgeous it was because it was the first game engine to look that beautiful on the PC. So I'm excited for it, and it's been announced. It's being worked on. It could be already maybe finished right now, who knows. But I'm looking forward to Left 4 Dead 3 and Half-Life 3 because we know Half-Life 3 is eventually going to be made, or it maybe already is made. But they haven't really talked about Half-Life 3 that much, but nonetheless, awesome news in my opinion. On some very happy news, Star Wars Episode 7, you guys know I'm a Star Wars fanatic. The first good step has been announced. Michael, what's his name? I'm thinking off the top of my head. Michael Arndt, like A-N-T-L-T or something. I don't know how to say his last name. His name is Michael whatever. The link's down below, you can read it. He is the writer, one of the writers for Star Wars Episode 7. And the reason I'm excited for this, and the reason I'm looking forward to this, is because he wrote Toy Story 3. And I thought Toy Story 3 had an excellent script, excellent writing, excellent film. And he already has 40 to 50 pages already written for Star Wars Episode 7. This has been confirmed. And my feelings for Star Wars Episode 7 has only grown since he's been announced as one of the writers, because we all know that the writers of Episode 1, 2, and 3 were absolutely terrible, and the dialogue was probably one of the most embarrassing, humiliating things in the Star Wars universe. So that's very exciting to me. A director has not been pinned exactly on Star Wars Episode 7 yet, but when that is announced, I will let you know. For those of you who don't know, Mark Hamill is going to be in Star Wars Episode 7. Yes! Harrison Ford says that he will not make a decision for Star Wars Episode 7 until they have a director and he reads the script. So there is a very high chance that depending on if they choose a good director for Star Wars Episode 7 and they confirm the writing of the script gets finished, that Harrison Ford may actually come back into Star Wars Episode 7. And if that happened, I would cry, because that would be the most nostalgic thing that would have never been done in film history. Can you imagine Mark Hamill, Harrison Ford, all of these Star Wars people back in the early 70s coming to the later 70s and 80s, coming back to the big screen in Star Wars Episode 7? That would be amazing to me. It would be... I can't even begin to express how the feeling that would create in my heart. I would sob. I know, dude, I cried, even though my video Disney buys Star Wars was very angry. When I heard that Star Wars Episode 7 was announced, I cried from excitement. That shows you how much of an extremist fanatic I am about Star Wars. If a girl doesn't like Star Wars, I'm sorry, but I would never be interested in you. Moving on from that, we have the next thing of Mass Effect 4. We all knew the Mass Effect 4 was going to be announced, right? Yes, we all knew that. But it is going to be used on the Frostbite engine. For those of you who don't know, the Frostbite engine is an engine that was used for Battlefield 3 and Frostbite Engine 1, which was used for Battlefield Bad Company. But the Frostbite Engine 2 is being used for Mass Effect 4. And the reason I'm excited for this is because I believe that Frostbite Engine 2 right now, besides the Crytek engine, which is used for Crysis 3, is the most beautiful game engine out there. I don't know how many... Whether you like Battlefield 3 or not, if you play Battlefield 3 on the PC, not consoles, but the PC, Battlefield 3, in my opinion, is one of the most beautiful looking games graphically out right now. With the exception of Crysis 2, Battlefield 3 is still the top of the line graphically right now. In fact, most computers, unless you have like over a $1,500 computer, cannot play Battlefield 3 on ultra settings. I just happened to upgrade my computer a while back, just last month, and my previous computer could only play it at about 30 frames per second, and it would lag really bad when a lot of stuff would happen. And now, with my new upgraded computer, I play everything on ultra, anti-aliasing, 1080p at 90 frames per second. And I can record it in full HD at like 60 frames. So if you ever want to play Battlefield 3 and you want to play it on ultra settings, you got to have a good computer to do so. And I mean, Battlefield 3 looks outstanding on ultra settings. If you've ever played it on ultra settings, you will have no idea what I'm talking about until you actually see it. Best looking game graphically on any computer so far, or console, is Battlefield 3. Moving on from that, I think that's all the news I have for this particular episode of blank, 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 and I say blank because I want you to give me a name. What should I call this series? I want to call this something. Gaming news? What is it? Give me some help here. I need your input. And finally, I have a side channel. The side channel is for gaming and little vlogs, but I mostly do gaming. Tomorrow is the release of Black Ops 2. I am not a Call of Duty fan, but Black Ops 2 made me buy Call of Duty simply because I love futuristic games. So if you want to see a full playthrough of the entire game, along with multiplayer gameplay, all of my own commentary, I recommend you check out my side channel and subscribe to it if you're interested in Black Ops 2. If not, that's perfectly fine, but I just want to let you guys know that I will be doing a full playthrough of everything with commentary, full HD, and I will be uploading like crazy. So that said, thank you for watching to this episode of blank, 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 you name it, and peace the rep out.